So here we are in Pipedrive, and yeah, they kind of have this same system that you were talking about in the sense they have here the affiliate program, and they say this is for anybody just wanting to send a customer our way, and then we take it from here. So they don't specify you have to be a specific somebody, it's just anybody. And then the expert, they do specify, okay, yeah, we want these to be consultants or integrators or VARs. We want these to be people, that are well connected with our ideal customer. And then, we want you to put a little bit of effort in, since you already have a relationship with that client. So that's kind of how they broke them up. And then I think a little bit later we can talk more about, the requirements and the rewards here. But for now, we'll hop over to Aircall and see how they split up their tiers. This is also slightly different in the sense Aircall decided, the basic level tier, their responsibility is just to acquire leads or, refer somebody or refer a lead. So that's kind of the first level. Then the second level is, they get the lead and then they go all the way through the sales cycle to closing the deal. And then, the partner is done with their responsibility. And then the expert, the third tier, they also acquire the lead, they take the customer all the way through the sales cycle, and then they also offer after sales support.
Awesome. Yep. And I know a few Aircall partners. That's awesome. So Pipedrive CRM, Aircall is a cloud voice system that bolts onto major CRMs. Let's talk about HubSpot's is this shining example, probably the most successful tiered program outside of, Microsoft and some of the large enterprise.
Very super successful, except for, their program is definitely more complex. So, if you're just now new starting your partner program, it might be a little bit complex to copy their model, but it is slightly interesting in the sense they decided to split up their tiers by the revenue earned. So basically here, they don't even have 3 tiers. They have, how many is it? 6 tiers. And it's based on how much revenue the partner needs to make. And then, as they get higher, I'm sure they'll be rewarded more. Yeah. So those are some different ways that it could be, broken up.
Yeah, so you see managed MRR. So we're going to talk through a couple of those specific examples. Will you bring up your screen? Bring up the doc and show the section that has the different tiers. And let's go through a couple of the main ones that exist in all the programs. So yeah, if you make that full screen there, awesome. What are conditions? Talk to me about that real quick.
Yeah, so conditions are kind of like, for example, different partners, you have different interests with different partners. There's some partners you have a really big interest in because they're really well connected and you really want them as a partner because they're working maybe with all your ideal clients. So the first level, you still want partners that will, refer you a customer, but it probably won't happen very often. So your interest maybe is not very high for the first level partners. But once you get into the second level partners, these are partners that it's like, okay, they're well connected. You really want to work with them and you want to motivate them to sell your product because they're well connected. And so, you start offering more rewards and then especially too at the third level as well.
Heidi has a podcast and she has a large following, a YouTube channel, right? I may want to work with Heidi a lot differently and incentivize her more than I would someone that just has 20 clients and they're a very small agency, right? Even though that agency could be an awesome referral partner,
right?
He has a network that I can immediately plug into. We work a lot with just content collaboration partners. That could be it, where Heidi may not be someone that you want to install a CRM or install a voice system or help a customer with a campaign. She may just have a YouTube channel and that's it, but she has a lot of exposure. So she'd be on almost a different partner type, but in your PRM, you would designate her as a partner of influence and she would immediately be fast-tracked to a different compensation, as well as working with Heidi on more co-marketing initiatives, right? So it's almost like an off-page special type of partner that you have. Let's talk about capabilities a little bit.
Yeah, so this kind of has to do with their responsibility. The first one, they don't have to particularly close a deal or do any training. They don't want to, or they don't know how to, so they just pass the lead on. So they don't need any particular skills or knowledge. The second one, yeah, you definitely want your second tier partners to kind of know your solution. You want them to be able to talk properly about the benefits of your solution, and to be able to start warming up the leads. And so it takes some training, but they need to be able to talk a bit about your product. So they need somewhat of a sales kind of capability. Third tier, they need to be able to fully close the deal. So them internally, they need to have the sales capacity to make a sale for your company, basically.
Training and certification. This is a big one for a lot of teams to understand when and why and how. And we have other content related. There's an interview with Corey Snyder of Maropost inside the collective.partnerprograms.io. So check that out. I think it'll be in the same list of classes. That is more focused on when and why do a tiered training and certification program. But what can we talk about right now about when and how to use training to incentivize your partners? What have you seen out there? Any examples?
Yeah, first level tiers, they don't necessarily need to train anyone that much. Second level tiers, they need to know the basic benefits. And then third level tiers, they need to know like your entire solution to be able to give service and support after the sale has already been completed.
Awesome. And certifications. So training and certifications are almost synonymous. Certifications are just the plaque, essentially. Like you're just giving them something to share with their community. You can train them all day, but giving them that level of like, hey, we tested them and they're certified. A good thing to mention here with training and certifications, you can imagine it like this. So training is something agencies will need. If they want to partner with you, they need to know your product. So you and the agency should be aligned and have mutual interest in learning the product. That is a good litmus test too. If you feel like the partnership may just be something they're interested in receiving commissions on, and they're really not wanting to get close with the product, they won't be interested in the training. You can just immediately write them off, keep them in tier one, give them reasons to refer that are compensatory, right? But those people that really want to partner with you, they will want training and support. They will want to get closer to your product. So have some level of, hey, if you would like to get into this next tier and become an expert, we are going to provide you with training, a couple hours a week for the first month or whatever it is. And if you would really like to proceed to the next tier, then we require you to pass this certification. So it could be a quiz, it could be implementing on their own successfully. But that is something that is very important, especially for, like we mentioned, the heavier tools, those tools that are more complex to implement. If you need the support of the agency, definitely highly recommended to start a certification program. And the lowest level of this, the easiest way to get started on this is to just have allotted time to do group sessions with new partners. So a group training session on phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3. And then if you would like to do a certification and you don't want to pay for an LMS like Thinkific or Teachable, Lessonly, those kinds of things, then what you would do is simply put them into a test scenario and use your product judgment to see if they are qualified. Another way to do this is you can say after success of 3 implementations, you are at tier 2. After success of 5 or 10 or whatever it is, you are at tier 3. And just know that if they've done 3 implementations, they're probably at that level where you would trust them to sell and take that whole entire process off of your employees' hands, like air calls, right? That expert level, air call is essentially out of the picture almost altogether, right? Their team is.
And yeah, it's kind of interesting what you're saying about, tapping into the motivation of your partners, because the second third tiers like really let you do that in the sense, like for example, as consultants, they can sell other services next to your service, or integrators, or like Salesforce, for example, like Salesforce's partners, they make commission off of selling Salesforce, but then they also make a lot of money off of selling services alongside of those. So these are kind of ideal kind of clients to maybe go in, your third tier, because they're already motivated. So they're ready to invest and to train and to know your program, because if they sell your product, then they can sell theirs as well. So these are, a really ideal kind of partners to have and define. And that's why it's important to have tiers, so you can, really motivate them as well.
100%. Okay. This is important. Commissions. So commissions in the early days, there is a way and a how and a why of commissions to offer. These are typical incentive structures for commissions. But we talk a lot about this in our community of partner managers, and we talk a lot about this on one-on-ones. But when should you offer commissions, and why, and if you should even offer commissions? So a lot of partner programs will have a very large partner base that just sit there. They flounder. They do nothing, right? These are the typical types of partners that come in through some sort of a marketplace, sign up for your program based purely on the commissions. Sometimes they don't even really know much about your product, and then they'll put a link to your product in some article that they've published and just let it sit there and hope that people click through and sign up. Now, there's nothing technically wrong with that, but what happens in these partner programs is you'll hire a partner manager and you'll say, hey, Heidi, I need you to get more out of our partner program. I need you to get more revenue, more referrals. And you'll look to these floundering partners that are just in the ecosystem, and you'll start spending your hours, your time calling and getting them to show up for a phone call. And what happens then is essentially those 80% that just signed up for the commissions end up being a huge cost and a time suck and a burden on your partner program. So I stress my teams, be very careful when you offer commissions. A good litmus test, again, I love litmus tests. If your product is under $10,000 in ACV, average customer value, 10%, 20%, 30% is not going to be interesting to these partners. Even if in their head they think, hey, I've got 50 clients. If I get all of my clients onto that account level, I'm going to make an extra $500 a month or an extra $1,000 a month. They'll think about that, and maybe they will go down that track of hoping to get there, but they won't get there 80% of the time, and it'll end up being just a time suck on your program. So if you're under 10 grand ACV, my suggestion to partner teams is to front load the commissions and just offer spiffs. Essentially saying, Heidi, when you refer someone, I'm going to give you $500 that day. Instead of giving you $50 a month over the next 10, 12, what ends up being a better incentive, meaning Heidi will feel like excited about this, is just spiffing her $500 right then and there. Not even putting it in the contract, almost making it like Heidi knows if she refers someone, she can get $500 that day, and then removing commissions from the picture. Now, if your product is over 10 grand ACV or in that neighborhood, yes, commissions are important. That's why HubSpot implementations are in need of partners on higher tiers, and they love that. They make a lot of money off of referring HubSpot because oftentimes it's a 10 grand plus implementation. That is where commissions are going to be expected. Just be careful of what level of commissions to offer who. And if we go back to the idea of Heidi as an influencer, that is where you want to make sure you fast track her to the implementation, to the 30% pretty quickly, and get her talking about your product a lot. And that's a different contract that's just between you and Heidi. That's off of the typical tiered program. So I just wanted to mention that. Anything that you want to say about commission?
Yeah, another way, to motivate your partners actually is this benefit of lead distribution. That's a really good way when partners start out with you, is actually to get them engaged which is literally to give them leads that, you know, need to be warmed up. And they're excited because they already have something practical that they can be working on and potentially make commission on. So this could be, you know, an interesting benefit that you can offer, you know, to, you know, your third level tiers and maybe even your second level tiers.
Oh yeah, lead distribution is a tough one too. That's hard for a lot of teams to talk about, because once you talk about lead distribution, your partners will be coming to you a lot for, hey, we need leads. You said we get leads at some point in the beginning. So be very careful with that. But yes, all of your partners will ask about it.
It shouldn't be like an expectation. It just should be, maybe you shouldn't even mention it to your partners at first. Just give them try to give them 1 or 2 or 3 leads right when you're starting them off.
I like recurring commission is another one that comes up a lot on our calls. Should we offer lifetime commission? My contention on that is, although it seems attractive on paper, there shouldn't be a reason why you are paying the agency or whoever referred that person in perpetuity if they're not with the client in perpetuity, if they're not helping keep that client around, right? That's the argument, the internal argument, right? So I always say, do a clause in your contract. If you're going to offer perpetuity, you say, yes, so long as you are managing that account, you are going to get paid. And you do an audit of your accounts every year, and you pull people off of that recurring commission that are not actively managing those partners. And that is also another way you can keep your partners engaged, keep them closer, to say, hey, what are you doing? You know, we've got you on this perpetuity. We've got you, you know, attached to these. What's the business? We reached out to them, and they said they stopped working with you a long time ago. Let's get you back in the program. Let's get that account going again. We want to pay you for it. What can we do? Right. Good way to do it. So free licenses, anything there?
Well, yeah, any agencies or consultancy, I would put them automatically in level 2 because you have a particular interest to work with them. So yeah, we definitely agree with that. Agencies, consultancies, you know, these people well positioned, definitely important, yeah, to put the free license there.
Oh, good point. So we're talking about first tier being just people that want to refer. These may be blog owners. They may just be people with a marketplace. They could be, you know, whoever. They're not going to work with your product as much.
Exactly. Necessarily strategic, but yeah, these are a little bit more strategic here in a second.
All right, so let me just look through those. Support is a big one. We don't have anything there, but let's go ahead and fill that out real quick. So support is, if we're talking towards Heidi's example of first tier, is just someone of influence that is not going to use your product. Support is going to need, you're going to need no access to support for that tier 1. Tier 2, definitely support. One of the biggest value propositions that you can provide your partners is extra support, is fast tracking support. Zapier is a good example. They do this with their partners, or they used to. I don't know today if they're still doing it, but with Zapier, if I need support as a user, I have to go through email and chat. If I have a partner, or sorry, an agency that is a partner of Zapier's, that agency has a phone number to call, right? So partners of Zapier have a phone number. So imagine the relationship with the agency. If I've got 50 Zaps going and they're super complex as a company, and I know I'm going to need a lot of support with that, and I know my agency is a partner of Zapier's, and they can just call Zapier up at any time and get me some support, that's the relationship between the agency and that client is super strong. So when you're saying, I'm going to give you fast track support to your partners, you're essentially saying you are going to be more valuable to your clients, which they love.